Alright, back again. Now we're going to be going through the Sorcerer tank build. So, race-wise, it's going to matter for the tank a lot more than it will for, say, damage and healers. The healers matters a bit, but it certainly matters more for tanks than it does for the other roles. So, first I'm going to go into that. So, I chose Nord. The reason for that is increased duration of consumed drinks, which helps a little. Max health bonuses, max stamina bonuses, and resistance bonuses. It's just a pretty solid race for tanking. Another good race if you're looking to get into it is Imperial. Those are pretty much the two metas right now as far as I know. But anyway, right into it. So first things first, attribute points. I put everything into stamina. You can put it into health or magicka if you want. It's really based upon your playstyle and build and the kind of content you're doing. But personally, I put them into stamina just because I tend to use more stamina than I do the other things. I go with the Lord for the Mundus Stone, increasing your maximum health. That's more just this patch. Sometimes I'll use other things like the Ritual for better self-heals, or depending on the patch, I might use something that gives me better resistances too. But anyhow, so right into the gear for tanks. Right now I'm running Perfected Yolnahkriin 5-piece. I don't have all the pieces for the Perfected Yolnahkriin. I don't have the shield or the necklace, I think. But working on it, and you still get the bonuses. You just don't get the one piece for the Perfected. As you see here, that one piece is missing. But you still get the bonus for the regular 5-piece, and that still works in pretty much all content. But so this is like a main tank setup. This is not going to be something that you generally do as an off tank. You'll have different gear, but the abilities will stay more or less the same. But anyway, so Perfected Yolnahkriin, I run Decisive just to help with ulti gain, because I'm running Sack Seal for my other 5-piece. But Yolnahkriin drops in Sunspire. It's a really good tank set. Helps with taunts and stuff. It's a good team group buff. I then run Earthgore for helping me stay alive, essentially. I've been thinking about maybe swapping it out for Stonekeeper, but I haven't really fiddled with that a whole lot yet on this character anyway. Then the other 5-piece, so you got your Earthgore and your Yolnahkriin. The other 5-piece is the Sack Seal. Now that comes from Rockgrove. This is a really good set. This replaces Warhorn for your buffs, and it's just way better. So you're able to actually use another ultimate instead of Warhorn and get the same buff, which is really nice. And then I like all of my body pieces generally in sturdy, with the big pieces infused, and I like to run triglyphs on all the big pieces with it fused, and then just, if you can get triglyphs for everything, I would myself, but then again, I'm not the best tank in the game. I've tanked most, this build will get you through pretty much all the vet dungeons if you have a decent group, and probably all of the vet trials as long as you're good at tanking. I haven't really bothered to get super good at it. That being said, I have cleared several hard mode trials, most of the hard mode dungeons, and almost all the trials on vet on this guy. Is a pretty solid tank, but there is room for improvement. But I go Triune for the jewelry with reduced block cost, just to help with resource management. Back bar you want infused for the ice staff with Crusher enchantment, and then front bar you can either do a restoration for your stamina pool like that, or you can do a magicka, or you can just do really whatever you want to do for the front bar enchantment. Whatever's going to help you and the groups you're running with the most. For that front bar enchantment, it's really more up to you. But everything else is pretty much just fairly self-explanatory for the traits and enchantments and everything. If you, the reason I go triglyphs is because you never know if you're going to need more mag, more stam, more health, depending on the group, depending on the run, depending on the day. So that's why I prefer that. After that, we're going to go into the skills. So the skills are more important for tanking than most other things. Fierce Armor is a must. So that's a Sword and Board ability. Sword and Shield, the very first ability there. The Puncture Morph. You want to use the Pierce Armor morph because that also inflicts minor breach and major breach, which is muy bueno. So that kind of pairs with the healers running their Siphon Spirit, because if you weren't running the Pierce Armor, if you were running Ransack, the other morph, you don't get that minor breach and major breach, and you have to have the healers running Ellie Drain to apply that buff. So Pierce Armor is the way to go. That's going to be your main ability on your tank. That's what you're going to use to keep everything focused on you instead of killing all of your teammates. Next up is going to be your Hurricane, so that's Storm Calling right there. It's Lightning Form morph. So that's where you're getting your class resistances, your 5k resistances, your major resolve, and minor expedition for your physical and spell resistances and your movement speed. That's almost 6k resistance bonus. You're gonna need that if you're gonna be tanking. You need to get your resistances as high as you can, pretty much, so that you take less damage and can stay alive better. As you've probably figured out, the tank's job is in fact to stay alive and absorb damage. So Hurricane will help you with that. It also increases your speed pretty well, which is a nice little bonus. Of course, you're also going to want Resolving Vigor, because that's really the only good self-heal other than class heals for tanks or stamina-based users in general. It's a support skill line ability, or assault, sorry. Skill line ability, the very first one there. Not super hard to go in and get. Just do a couple battlegrounds, you should have it. Then just morph it to Resolving. It's a better self-heal. It's a really nice heal over time. There are other ways to heal yourself. You could use the Sorcerer pet if you wanted to. The Clan Fear works really well for tanks as well, especially Sorcerer tanks. But then you got your Dark Deal, so that's going to be your resource management. So as you see, I'm burning through my stamina, healing myself. Oh no. So then I'm going to hit that, and it drains my magicka to restore my stamina and health. It's a really handy ability, but it takes a little getting used to. If you're doing that while getting hit, you will take damage because it lowers your block. You cannot block while you're hitting that, so be very careful when you use it. Another major thing you must have. So the main things, you got to have a taunt on your tank. You have to have your resistance buff on your tank. You have to have a self-heal on your tank. This Dark Deal is just it's a tooltip type ability, just to help with resource management. Silver Leash is the other must-have ability. You have to have a chain on your tank to pull the adds in. So that way you can get them all close together, get them killed faster, and that way they're not just roaming around the room killing people. That's never good. So now before, here for the ultimate, you used to have to use the Warhorn, but now we can use this Greater Storm Atronach, and that's going to be another buff. Ally can activate the Charged Lightning, giving a major Berserk. Unless they're running like something like Kinra that gives you that major Berserk, you're not getting that really anywhere else. So that's a really nice bonus to have for the group. Plus it has pretty good damage. It's just a generally pretty handy thing to have on there. Plus, if you come into your DAEDRIC summoning, I'm pretty sure, yeah, so increases your max health when you have an ability active on yourself. So just having that out is going to give you a little bit of a health buff. Plus, while you have it slotted, you get health and stam recovery, and reduces the cost of your ultimate. Is just a bonus of having it. You generally want all of the passives for the your class abilities. You want all the passives for those. Pretty much any support or damage character. After that is going to be your back bar. So what I do is I like to run an ice staff on my back bar, because when you go into the ice, the destruction staff, with like right here, your fully charged ice gives you damage shield, 7k damage block. It's really nice. Ancient Knowledge, when you have an ice staff, it reduces the cost of blocking by 36% and increases the amount of damage you can block. In addition to that, when you're using an ice staff, you can actually block with magic, which is really nice. So I can actually block with my magicka pool instead of my stamina pool when I'm on my back bar. So say I'm blocking right during a fight, you know, say I'm in here, I'm taking damage, right? Well, I'm starting to get pretty low on stamina, so I can just swap to my back bar, block with my ice staff, while my stamina pool regens. Really handy, especially if you have good synergies from your healers and stuff. You can get your resources back in no time. This is a really good resource sustain build. for tanking. But again, there is room for improvement, so don't think this is the end-all be-all for tank builds. I'm much better at heals and damage than I am at tanking, but this is a good place to start for sure. So the last thing we're going to go over is your champion point setup. Now, unlike damage, where only the blue tree matters, really the blue tree, I mean, it's important for sure. That's where you get a lot of your resistances. But as far as everything else, I mean, it's not, you're not getting damage out of it. So you're going to want this right here. Reduces area effect. So it's basically the opposite of damage. Normally you'd come over here, area effect, single target, and all that kind of stuff. Well, it's basically the opposite of that for the tank. You're going to want increased damage reduction for area of effect, increased damage reduction for single target. And then you come into here. This one I need more points for. But increased damage reduction for damage over time effects. Then you come into here and you got even more stuff right here. You need that. Increased damage reduction for direct damage attacks. You need all of that stuff. That's super helpful. So down here is going to be your tank boon home, basically, for your blue CP. But these guys are actually going to matter a little bit on your tank. So let's come over here into the red tree. The green doesn't really matter as much, but the red tree does. So I'm not going to go into all of it, but this one right here increases your recoveries while you're under the effects of a negative effect. So if you have like a burning status effect on you, or someone's debuffed you or something like that, or an elemental status effect, those kind of things, anything that damages you or debuffs you, you'll have better recoveries while you're having that negative effect on you, which is generally pretty nice, and you'll have negative effects on you a lot as a tank. Soothing Shield, when you successfully block an attack, you have a 15% chance to gain health when you successfully block an attack, and as you can see, there's no cooldown. So I basically get almost a 1k health every time I successfully block an attack. Well, not every time, but the 15% chance. It's not a lot, but any little bit of sustain helps. Bracing Anchor. So on combat increases the amount of damage you can block, but reduces your movement speed. So because I have the Hurricane on, that's increasing my movement speed, so this is basically just evening it out. But the increasing the amount of block, so that's a 20% block mitigation, so that's making it so you can absorb a lot more damage. Now of course this is going to be more helpful at higher CP levels. The more CP you have, so you can actually max all of these out, is better, of course, but start working on them right away. The other one is this, Rejuvenation. This is just base across the board recovery for everything all the time. Now there are other ways you can go with it. You could go with armor or max health or things like that if you wanted to instead of some of these, but this is just the setup I'm using, and it works pretty well for me, so hopefully it'll work well for you. And that brings me to the end of the Sorcerer tank build. I hope you find it helpful, and as always, leave any questions or comments in the comment section on the video. And have a good one, guys.